down goes Diebler. This is very sad. I feel like Ohio State has Chris Holtman again, but that's okay. Not entirely. Jake Diebler has brought in some good players. Aaron Bradshaw, Meechie Johnson has come back. Micah Parrish is in. Ohio State fans aren't too happy about Micah Parrish. I'm not as down on him as some other people are. However, they have lost 2 starters in Roddy Gayle Jr., especially to the team up north, Michigan up there, and Felix Okpara. I think he announced he's going to Tennessee today. And then also Trey Townsend committed to Arizona. I know Ohio State fans were thinking they were going to land that one, but yeah, things aren't looking super good for Ohio State right now when you miss out on, your top target of the entire class. But Ohio State still does have a top 10 portal class according to 24/7, so they have that going for them. Kent, we'll let you go first here. Would you deem, if you had to go either success or not success, unsuccessful, would you deem this portal so far for Jake Diebler a success or unsuccessful?
When I first started thinking about this, I immediately was thinking that it's not going well, because I know all the players that are leaving, and I've watched them all, and I've grown to, I'm attached to all these guys now. So when I see all these guys leaving, I say, man, this is not good. But then I dug a little bit deeper. So here's what I did, JR. I went through what I thought were the 3 most important guys that are coming in, and the 4. I actually added Scotty Middleton to this because I think that he's a very important player, and it could have been a key player for Ohio State next year. So I added those 4 guys that are leaving versus the 3 guys that are coming in, and I just did their stats, added them up. You're losing 31.1 points. You're getting 28.3. You're losing 16.5 rebounds. You're getting 11.5. You're losing 4.8 assists, and you're getting 5.1. With those 3 main stats, it's kind of even, except for the rebounds. So you're losing a lot of rebounding with those 4 guys. But I was actually surprised with Meechie Johnson, Aaron Bradshaw, Micah Parrish, the guys that are coming in, those 3 guys, you're still getting pretty much the same production if you take what they did last year and they're able to duplicate that next year. You're basically getting the same scoring production from those guys. So the more I thought about it, I said, you know what, maybe they're not in such a bad spot after all, and it's probably not over. They're probably still going to get some guys. So I don't know how many roster spots are left. I didn't do that much digging. You probably know better, JR. They're probably going to get another guy or 2, right? What's that? 2 spots left. Okay, so, when all is said and done, they might be in a better spot than they were this past season, which is really exciting for Jake Diebler starting out his first real year coaching, and he got a little bit of a head start, last year coming in midway through. I think that it could be a much improved Ohio State team, even with all those guys leaving, which is kind of crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean, Diebler did bring in Marcus Johnson. I think he's related to Meechie Johnson, 5-star point guard out of the state of Ohio. So that is a good piece for them. So it's not like, they've only added these players out of the transfer portal here. I think Marcus is going to come in next year as well. So that is something good for Jake Diebler there. Anthony, I know you've kind of been watching this from the outside. You're paying more attention to Michigan State's portal stuff, things like that. But, hearing those names and hearing the guys who have been leaving, you think success or unsuccessful for Jake Diebler so far?
I think on, very unsuccessful, slightly unsuccessful, neutral, whatever. I think you're slightly unsuccessful. I think you had a lot of names leave, a lot of big contributors. I think losing Okpara is going to hurt defensively, but they replaced him with a 7-footer from Kentucky. So, I think he picked up the pieces pretty well considering who left. And I think equally important is the pieces that he has been able to convince to stay so far, right? We still have a week, right? So, we're not, jury's still out on that, but Devin Royal is still in town, right? He is a name who I would be really upset if I were an Ohio State fan, I would be upset to lose him. And I believe that Thornton said he's coming back, right?
Yeah, but so did Felix. So
Well, but like Thornton isn't, he's not entering the draft or anything. So
No,
I don't know. So I think if you can keep those two and build a core around them, you have some continuity from last year. And then who's the other guy? Mahaffey. I never know how to say his last name. Mahaffey. Like having those guys having that continuity will help, right? And Diebler he got hot towards the end of last season, right? Ohio State was on the uptick, and I think he has convinced people that he can, win others over. And I think if he can pick up even some of the pieces from last year's roster and build on that, it could turn into a slight win. But right now it's, there's a lot that he has yet to prove. And there's still a lot of names out there. The good thing about the portal is, the bad thing about the portal is everyone's entering it. But the good thing is everyone's entering it, right? There are a lot of choices and even if you don't get your first choice, right, there's other options that you can pivot to that can solve your roster issues.
Yeah. I mean, when Jake Diebler was hired, this was one of the things that I kind of said I was concerned about. I felt like he showed that he could coach in the games and put together a good game plan to beat teams. And his players were responding well to him. So, I felt good about that, but it was the NIL stuff and it was the, in the transfer portal and putting a team together, putting the roster together, because that was something that Chris Holtmann really struggled with, was actually putting a roster together. And who was Jake Diebler learning under was Chris Holtmann. So at the end of the day, this is something that does concern me a little bit. Do I love the way the roster is constructed right now? No, but do I think that the roster, would I feel better about the roster if we had Trey Townsend? Yes. I feel like that would be a much better situation. So it's kind of crazy how losing out on one target can really affect you so much. But guys, I sent you 5 names. I'm only going to give you 4 because I found out earlier that one of those names, Andrew Carr, is not being pursued by Ohio State anymore. But there are 4 names for forwards, wing players that Ohio State's currently pursuing, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on who they should go after with the loss of Trey Townsend. So we have Sean Stewart from Duke, highly rated recruit, hasn't done so well to keep that recruiting ranking in college so far, but still obviously someone with a lot of skill. Kason Pryor from USF, large, tall, kind of lanky guy, but does have a perimeter game as well. I think he's 6'10", can play the forward, so that's good. Chris Parker, Alabama, and then Tucker Anderson from Central Arkansas. Dude is a bucket, but he is kind of like the Frankie Fiddler type coming in from a smaller school. He only had a freshman year, though, so a little bit less experience. You would hope he would be a contributor right away, but you're just not exactly sure with him only playing 1 year of college basketball so far. So, Kent, out of those 4 names that I gave you, do you think any one of them in particular would be a exceptional add for Ohio State at this point in time?
I didn't see that part when you sent it to me, so I didn't research these guys, but off the rip, I'm going to say it's got to be Kason Pryor because, there's a history at Ohio State with guys last name Pryor having success. So just if I had to choose one of those guys, it's him, and that's why. Just clicked on his picture too. He's also got I don't know what you call it, but like when you kind of like shave part of your eyebrows out, and that's terrifying looking. So I want that guy at Ohio State next year. 6'8". Yeah, let's get Kason in here. He spells it funny too. Am I even saying his name right? It could be Kayshawn.
I was thinking
Kayshawn or Kason? I think it's Kayshawn.
Kayshawn. I think Kayshawn. I said Kason. I didn't see the A. Like I don't take pronunciation advice from me on guys' names.
I won't.
At that.
I'm gonna say it's Kayshawn though. Kayshawn Pryor, come on down. You're the next contestant on Jake Diebler's basketball team.
Yeah, just don't get a tattoo, Kayshawn.
No tattoos though. No.
The other Pryor. Anthony, who sticks out to you here to be added to Ohio State?
So I think adding I'll start with Chris Parker from Alabama. I think Alabama players kind of have a type. They're all super like rangy, and they have like kind of an NBA style where they can like score super easily, not super interested in defense. That's kind of who Nate Oates has built his programs around, and they can score in bunches, but they can't defend. So less interested in something like that. So just to be different from Kent, I'll say Tucker Anderson from Central Arkansas. Again, rangy, stretch four, oversized small forward type, 37% from three from a smaller school. If he's the guy at a smaller school, MSU's had success with guys like that. So I don't know. Tucker Anderson's the guy just on a quick scan of the list that seems like would be interesting to add to the roster.
Yeah, that too. I was going to say too was Tucker Anderson. I like the fact that he could be a stretch four for Ohio State. And you look at Devin Royal playing the 3 spot for him. He does not have the perimeter game that you want out of a 3, but you could have a perimeter game out of your 4. Bringing Tucker Anderson in there, presuming he starts. But I don't think you'd want to start Evan Mahaffey and Devin Royal together. That just sounds like too much together. Aaron Bradshaw does have a bit more of a perimeter game, so who knows? Maybe that would work, but I would think you'd want your 7-footer close to the basket more than your 6'6" guys. So that would be my thought there. But